Well, hello. Today's episode is sort of planned, unplanned. It all came from a shower thought because we have those. I want to talk about this concept today of women supporting women. All right. If you've been in business and you are a woman or someone who identifies as a woman for long enough, you have felt this vibe. You may have been drawn into it. You may support it, because I do. But I want to talk about where it breaks down and why the women supporting women movement in entrepreneurship that started, 10 years ago, it's been a little bit dismantled in a way that I don't think we intended. So let's get into it. Let's talk about where this concept breaks down and why, if you have been in this space for the last little while, you might be feeling like, WTF. Okay, so let's talk about what women supporting women was supposed to mean. It came from a real place, right? Where women in industries across the globe, pretty much doesn't matter what country you're in, were considerably outnumbered in the job force. They were outnumbered in terms of their salary and ability to create income. There was also the unmeasured load of motherhood, of childcare, of caretaking, and all of these things. We've seen all the stats, right? It depends on where you live, but for every dollar a man makes, or someone who identifies as a man, a woman makes like 75 cents on the dollar. So this women supporting women thing came from an absolutely genuine place. The idea was we lift each other up. We have each other's back. We commune and create community so that we all rise together. And in many, 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 many contexts of which I have been part, it is a beautiful thing. So beautiful. And if you've experienced it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But here's where it gets tricky, is that this women supporting women also, I theorize, came at the time in online and digital business when women were realizing, oh, women supporting women, I can be a coach, I can be a mentor, I can help other women. They will pay me to help them, which fundamentally is not wrong, but it's very easy to cross a line. And I think that's what's been happening and why the women supporting women thing causes a little bit of internal disruption. Because the truth is, support is not a universal action. It's heavily dependent on context and situation. It's dependent on where the receiver of the support is coming from and where the giver of the support is creating capacity in themselves to give that support. If you want to know more about that, go back and listen to my podcast episode I did about the 3 ways to tell if your nervous system is overriding your business. I'll drop it in the description box below because that's kind of what I'm talking about when I get to capacity. A lot of women decided they could support other women without fully realizing they didn't actually have the right capacity to do that to the fullest extent. No shame, no shade. All of us are in this together. That is always still true, but it has had unintended and potentially damaging consequences. So where does this break down? Women supporting women, offering support for payment, becoming a coach when you're not qualified to, holding space for people when you're not able to, unintentionally creating containers that you can't hold the space for, which, now we've seen heading into 2026 has caused a lot of women to be leery of seeking the support of other women. That's what I'm seeing out there. Here's the number one place where it breaks down. There are 5. Number 1 is that emotional labor becomes the default. Support started to mean carrying other people's feelings. Women are naturally empathetic by nature. We are naturally able to understand emotions. And so supporting other women somehow for many became carrying the burden of those emotions. It meant listening to venting. It meant solving problems that perhaps clients or people in container weren't willing to face themselves. And without being well-resourced as a coach or a mentor yourself, then you absorb that unintentionally. What ends up happening is you end up coaching someone through decisions that weren't ever really yours to make to begin with, just so that you can offer them relief, which is what we have come to equate with support. That's not actually support. That's actually unpaid, unresourced, emotional labor. The second one is collapsed boundaries. We see a lot of this now, especially if you're on Instagram or you're watching things on YouTube Shorts, women talking about, no, I am now learning to hold my boundaries. That has become a massive narrative, and for good reason. Women supporting women started to become I'm just going to say yes to every woman who needs me. I am going to create space for every woman. I'm going to build my business so that maybe it is an ascension model with one-to-one coaching and group coaching and a membership and, free content. But no matter what, I had to create space for everyone or I was failing in this women supporting women. Now we're seeing where that then goes back to the fault line number one. It creates too much emotional labor with blurred boundaries and the absorption of all of that energy. And then when you do try to assert boundaries, we know this, it can feel on both sides like a betrayal because we feel like we're betraying the desire to do women supporting women, and then women who we're setting boundaries for can feel a bit prickly if we set that boundary. So it ends up being like a lose-lose scenario. Number three, again, these all kind of relate, but the third one I see is over-identification with being an emotional fix-it coach, mentor, or container holder. I see this a lot with sort of spiritual entrepreneurs who say in their messaging, I am going to help you fix your mindset. I am going to unblock you. Well, if that is your value proposition, you are going to have to be able to hold the energy of someone's block. And the reality is 99% of people are not qualified to do that. So what ends up happening is you coach or mentor down. You attract clients or people into your sphere, women into your sphere, who you think are like you maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago, and you coach to them using phrases and words that you wish you had heard at that time. So you lose their context, you lose their identity, and you over-identify with your own experience as a way to cope with your need to fill up their bucket. Okay, the fourth one is then it becomes about unspoken expectations, which nobody likes. This is the whole assumption that if you are a woman in business and you are women supporting women, that you should automatically like everybody and collaborate with everybody and see eye to eye with everybody. And that is certainly not the case. It also sneakily looks like being like, oh, just offer me a discount. I shouldn't have to pay full price for this. Let's contra this. Listen to me. You can die from exposure. Doing things for free, women supporting women, that is not the same thing. And the fifth thing, and this is a big one, is that oftentimes what ends up happening when we fall into this lane is we confuse validation with support. So we jump into these containers, these masterminds, these mentorships, these women supporting women groups, and all we really are seeking is for someone to be like, hooray, bravo, you're doing it. And you're not actually getting the business support that you need, which in many situations is tough love, where someone sits you down and says, no, you're not doing it, and here's the consequence. These containers are not built to give you that tough love feedback, and it feeds back into the beginning, which is that the containers are built to actually create an imbalanced emotional support system. Business support and women supporting women is not really the same. They can coexist, but you have to really understand what if you are a woman in business who is light years ahead of someone else, your job is likely to give them tough love and tell them where they are going to stub their toe, rather than just telling them to keep on going and that they're doing all of the right things. Because one will serve them in reaching their goals. The other one, all it really does is creates this codependency. And to be honest, this is why I got out of the holding space realm, because I realized that what had happened is that the people I was attracting were emotionally codependent. They were looking to me for validation rather than reality. And what I want to offer is more of a gap analysis. Here, I have done this. I have scaled a business to multi six figures. I have made so many mistakes, I can't even count. I can tell you what I see, and that is how I choose to support you. I don't want to hold your emotional baggage. I can acknowledge that you're experiencing emotions, because goodness knows I experience emotions. But women supporting women for me is being extremely real. It's not being catty. It's not being mean. It's not being, exclusionary in any way. But it isn't this rah, rah, rah thing. So I'm going to go in depth on this on my podcast because I have a lot more to say about this. This is just a short kind of snippet for YouTube, but if you like this content, absolutely head down to the description box below, hit the notification bell, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. I am still trying to keep up with my regular posting. I took a week off there because I actually got sick and had some tech snafus, but we're back on track. And listen to the Narrative Advantage podcast. You can get it on Apple, on Spotify. It is different content than what I put up here on YouTube. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.